So the biggest companies. Okay, the biggest company. Maybe. Okay. A, B, connected with the global market. So I haven't forgotten your essays. I know that your essays are there as well. But the small companies relate. Okay, relate to domestic area. Another thing is welfare. The small company doesn't have extra benefits compared with large companies. Or, well, should we say a large company? See, after you've practiced your articles, you won't get your articles incorrect anymore. So with a large company, such as providing, shall we say? Support. Okay. Like a childcare centre. Or one's self-development. Okay, are there big companies in your hometown? Of course, there are a lot of big companies. So if there's a lot of, then it has to be plural. Exactly. Yes. Many people work at Hyundai Automobile, Hyundai Industry, and SK Chemical. My father worked at the Hyundai industry for 35 years, and he has retired now. Hyundai has, okay, not has been support. No, not has been, has supported my hometown, such as infrastructure and cultural performance. Well, probably cultural performances, probably more than one.
Plural, yeah. Right.
Okay, so what are the advantages of working in a big company? Firstly, people are, people probably are proud of their job. And company, so they have confidence rather than, okay, not rather than others, compared to others. Secondly, the large company support for workers, for example, okay, the large companies support workers. For example, my father worked at Hyundai, so my siblings and I were supported. Okay, we're supported for all tuition from Hyundai Industry Company by the time we graduated university. It was really beneficial. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it difficult to get promotion in a large company? Well, I think that depends on their ability. I don't know much about okay, the promotion system in a large company. Probably they struggle with competition. Okay, competition with each other, from each other, against each other. Could be any of those. Okay, competition, let's say, against each other. In the same company, but I think any company's promotion is hard regardless of scale. I think that people have constantly to try. Okay, have to constantly try to develop their skills. Okay. All right, so not many changes. Let's see what are the changes. Okay, sometimes your plurals, sometimes like companies. That's one that you've made a few times in there. Occasional articles. So plurals. It seems to be plurals that you drop the s's off things every now and again, like performances, companies. and occasionally your articles and your tenses. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
that's 3 areas. I'm okay. It might sound like a nightmare, but it's only 3 areas: articles, tenses, and
Senses.
plurals. Not much really. Work on that. Work very hard on that, and you'll be there.
I don't know much about the compared to when I use
Prepositions.
like compared to something or rather than
Yeah,
more than the usage is very difficult. I
yeah,
don't know what time is correct.
yeah. It's one of the most difficult things for every second language learner. Prepositions are very difficult to learn, and so the only way to learn them is in the phrase itself. So compared to,
Mm,
okay, competition against.
mm,
But I mean, the word competition, actually, that's a bit of a difficult one because it could be competition with or competition against. So
mm,
sometimes you can change the preposition,
mm,
um, but a lot of the times there is no logic. You've just got to learn the phrase, and that's difficult because there are so many phrases like that.
mm,
So if you look, I shared with you the Google folder for grammar.
mm-hmm.
And if you look in there, I think under prepositions, I think within the Google Grammar folder, there's another subfolder for prepositions. And
Preposition. Yeah,
and
I
if
found
you
it.
look, oh, you found it. Okay, so in that one, it gives you lots of examples where the verb or the adjective is with the preposition. And
Mm,
and you probably looked at it and thought, well, there's so many of them. Yes, there are, but that's what you've got to do. You've got to learn them.
okay.
Okay, so one way of trying to do that might be
Uh,
um, to put them all on one. Maybe you could copy them all onto a sheet of paper or something and print the sheet of paper, so you've got all of those verbs and prepositions, or adjectives and prepositions, or nouns and prepositions where they are usually together. Print it off. Put it on your wall next to your computer screen, and then every time you're sitting there doing some kind of work, it'll be there in front of you. You can look through it, and I think just gradually over a period of time, you'll start to absorb it. You'll start to learn it. It's one of those things you can
uh,
only do by repetition. There is no shortcut on it. There's no magic. There's no rule I can give you that makes it easy. There's no logic to it. It's just one of those things. But the good news is that Koreans are very good at learning things.
I'm not good at learning things.
But that's it. Unfortunately, that's how you learn prepositions. It's uh, you know people try, they're always trying to ask me, well, what's the rule that I have to apply in order to work this out? What's the magic key for remembering? There is no magic key. You've just got to learn them all.
Okay.
So the other, I mean, as I say, the other way of doing it is if you do a lot of reading in English, like a lot of reading of articles, newspaper articles, books, passages, whatever it happens to be, and if you just start to notice, after you've read the article for the information that's in the article, then read the article a second time and see, well, are there any prepositions appearing with a verb more than once? Okay, and then you can put a highlighter, like I do here in the text to try and show you. Just
Mm,
just try and do it yourself. And again, just by seeing it over and over and over again. I mean, I've never sat down to learn which preposition goes with which verb. It's
mm,
because it's my native language, and it's only by repetition and hearing either my family in the first place, or reading lots of books, or just talking to my friends. You just start to recognize over and over again, this preposition usually goes with this verb. That's it. Um,
okay.
okay, all right. So, how did you find your essays this time? So you've done your essays. Oh,
Yes.
look at all the information you give me now. You're giving me the minutes and the words. That's very good. That's lots of information. None of my students ever do that for me. I normally, I also teach a lot of nurses in Africa. Um,
Oh.
that are supposed to be going to the UK once this COVID-19's over and done with. So I've got something like 50 students in Africa, nurses in Africa that I'm teaching how to write essays. Actually, their spoken English is pretty good, but I'm teaching them how to write an essay. And when they write the essays, because they're in Africa, they haven't got a computer. So what they do is they handwrite their essays with a pen. Then they take a photograph of it with their phone, and then they send me the photograph. And then I've got to try and mark their essay from a photograph. And I'm always saying to them, can you please put how long it took you, how many minutes, and count the number of words? Because otherwise, because it's on a photograph, I have to count the words one by one when I'm marking their essays. And they never listen to me. They always just send me the photograph, and so I end up spending an hour marking each essay. So this is good. Thank you. Right. Right. Okay. So those graph. Okay. So graph. It's graphs because there's more than one, isn't it? Oh no, it's one graph, isn't it? It's only one graph. Okay. So in that case, it should be the graph. But that's what it said in the. Okay, so you've got to paraphrase what's there, and it says the graph. So how do you paraphrase the graph? They've in the question they've said the graph and table below show the average monthly temperatures, and you're saying those graphs. So it's not those because it's only one graph. So it's the graph depicts
the line graph.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. So you just be more specific. It's the only way you can paraphrase that. So the line graph depicts the average monthly temperatures, and what do they say? The average monthly temperatures. Okay, and the average number of hours of sunlight. Okay, well the graph doesn't give you the average number of hours. The graph only gives you temperatures, doesn't it? Yeah, temperatures.
This line graph. And when I write down this one, I want to write both the table, table and the line graph. But
okay.
It's okay. Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so there's different information in each of those things. Yeah. So you could I mean you could either write it as two sentences. They've put it together in one sentence. Maybe in order to paraphrase it, you make it two sentences rather than one sentence. Okay, and then you can concentrate on how you paraphrase each sentence. So the line graph. So let's make that one sentence. So the line graph depicts. It says shows in the question. Okay, the average monthly temperatures. Yeah. Okay. It is. But how is there a way of describing that other than average monthly temperatures, which is exactly what they have in the question? It's difficult, isn't it? Difficult one to
it was
difficult to paraphrase. Yeah, line depicts the well, you could say. I mean, you don't have to say it's the average. You could say the change of monthly temperatures. Okay, so then you've a simple change in the wording there, the change of monthly temperatures, and okay, in three cities.
Yeah, London, New York, Sydney.
Well, okay. Well, what do they say? Do they mention that in the? Yeah, in fact, so they don't actually mention the names of the cities in the in the question. Okay, so in three, well, they say three major cities. Okay, so just in three, what you could say in three large cities. And then rather than trying to copy them and get all the other information in there in one sentence, you could say in addition, comma, the average number of hours of sunlight. Sunlight isn't countable, so it doesn't need an S on it. So the average number of hours of sunlight in London, New York, and Sydney from January to December. Okay, is that what they're saying? Do they don't mention? Okay, so they don't mention. I think in the in your introduction, probably try not to put too much information, because some of that information you can put in the overview. Okay, so in addition, the average number of hours of sunlight in London, New York, and Sydney are provided in a table. Okay, so it's simple language. You've broken it into two sentences, and you've changed some of the words so that you've paraphrased what's in the question. So you don't have to use clever language. You haven't got to be thinking too hard about it. Use simple language, because as I said to you yesterday, well, the last time we did an essay, use simple language for task one. Don't try to impress just because there's so many numbers and detail that you've got to deal with. You want to be expressing that clearly, and use simple language to express it. When you get to task two, you can use more academic language and all that kind of thing. But it's about, you want to finish task one as soon as possible when you're doing the essays. So you don't want to be thinking too hard about it. You want to understand what's in the graph or the table or the process diagram or the map or whatever it is that's in there, and then just describe it in simple terms. So really all you're looking to do is describe it in simple terms, paraphrase the question. That's task number one, is to paraphrase the question. Everything that you do after that, you use simple language, and you just make sure it's logical, make sure it's in the kind of order that you've got there. So your order now with 4 paragraphs is very good, and then use simple language and make sure you've got 160 words. It's as simple as that in a task one. You don't want to be doing anything special or clever. Just keep it very simple in task one. Just achieve, because it's a small part of the score. So just achieve what you really have to, the bare essentials. Okay. And some, once you've practiced and you can do that in 20 minutes or less, so some people can do that in 15 minutes. If once they're really practiced, they can boom through that thing, keep it simple, finish the task, which gives you more time to spend on your task two, which is going to earn you more marks. And that's where you really want to put your big effort is in task two. Yeah, so this is your strategy. This is your tactics for maximizing your score, is to get task one out of the way as soon as possible. And what some people do is they write their task two essay first.
I did.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my style.
Yeah. Okay. Because you get more marks for that, and then whatever time you've got left, you do a rush job on task one. But it's the same thing, really. Task one is a rush job. Task two is where you really want to focus your energy. Okay, well, that's good. You've already got the idea, a good idea there. So, okay. So let's have a look here. What changes did I make there? Okay. So it's the line graph. Depicts the change. Okay, what did I say? Was it the change of monthly temperature? Change of month. Okay, the change of, is it? I can't remember what I changed now. Anyway, change of monthly temperatures in 3 large cities. In addition, the average numbers are provided in a table. Okay, so simple language, nothing clever in the language. It's just keep it as simple as possible. Okay, so overall, the average monthly temperatures. Okay, not pick. It sounds like pick, but it's not pick. Peak. Okay, peak Okay, not peak at July, peak in July. So again, so it's peak and it's peak in.
Peak in.
Mm. Peak in July in London and New York. In the case of Sydney, the graph shape is upside down compared to. Uh,
I don't know how to describe the overall. So
okay.
it was
Uh,
the hardest part.
uh, well, you could just say, okay, is the opposite.
I wrote about the expression, the opposite trend, the last paragraph.
All right. Okay. Okay. So the graph shape is the opposite to the other cities. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So do you know why it's the opposite?
Yeah, Sydney is to the south, so our season is reversed.
Good. Okay. Just checking. Right.
Mhm.
Okay. It is, but as interesting as that is, that's not something you should write in the essay.
Yes, I
So okay, so if in a task one essay you cannot present extra information, even if you know it to be absolutely true, you can only describe what's in the. Yeah. Okay. Good. Right. Okay. So it is clear that in London during the winter season the average temperatures. The average temperatures are under 15 degrees. Okay, degrees because there are 15 of them, so it's got to be plural.
I didn't
Uh,
know that.
um, and New York. So you're saying it's clear that in London during the winter season the average temperatures are under 15 degrees. Yes, okay, but then in London and New York, why are you saying and New York at the end? Why are you saying in London and New York at the end of the sentence?
I want to compare London and New York between like similar and differences. And then last paragraph, I want to discuss about Sydney.
Yeah.
That's
Okay, that's okay. Yeah. But it's just that in this, okay, if you look at the first sentence, it is clear that in London during the winter season, the average temperatures are under 15 degrees. That's okay. But then you've already said in London, and then you're saying in London and New York in the same sentence. That's what I'm asking. And what I'm asking is why are you repeating in London and New York at the end of the sentence?
New York is also in the winter season under the 15
Okay.
degrees.
All right. So in that case, you should say that at the beginning.
Ah, ah.
Okay. So then you don't need to repeat it at the end. Yeah.
Mm,
Because it just look you've already said in London, so to say it in London again at the end of the sentence is
that's a
it's like
problem.
yeah, okay, all right. So
Mm,
in July the average temperatures, okay, again, okay, peak peak at is okay, peak at is
that.
okay, so okay, but not just peak at. You can use peak as a verb.
Right.
Peak at 23 again degrees
Degrees
in London and 29 degrees. Okay, this
in New
is
York.
and 29 degrees in New York, respectively. Okay, in the country, and unfortunately, it's not in the country; it's on the country.
On the contrary.
So, and that's a very useful phrase. It's one of the signposting phrases that they are looking for, either in a task one essay or a task two essay. So, on the contrary, it's always on the contrary.
On the
All right.
contrary.
So you need that's a phrase, one of those phrases with a preposition that you do need to learn. Yeah. So
Okay.
all right. So make that purple and make that. What can we do there? Bold and underlined. Okay. On the contrary.
Mhm.
Okay. So total annual hours of sunshine are much less For London, okay. Well, okay. So you're talking the total annual hours, plural. So it should be are.
Ah.
Much less than New York. The figures recording 1180 hours, and respectively the figures recording. It looks all right to me. Why is what record? Oh, record. The figures record. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, the figures record probably. Yeah. Okay, so the figures record. Yeah, whatever it is, those hours respectively. All right. So it is notable that Sydney's line graph shows. Okay, shows.
Uh,
The opposite trend to the other cities. The opposite trend to.
2. Oh.
The average temperature. The average temperature.
Z.
Peak. Oh, picks
Peak.
up. Peaks. Peaks at 26 degrees in January.
Z.
After then gradually decreases.
Mhm.
And the figure reaches
Which is
a low of 16 degree in July. Okay, all right. So that was 160 words. There's been a few changes in there. I think that's still probably about right. I don't think you've gone under 150 words. So that's 160 words. You've answered the question. Okay, so the linking is very good actually. I would say 7.5. Vocabulary. Okay, vocabulary. Yeah, your picks and your peaks are a bit of a problem, aren't they? But really, really, it's probably only your use of peaks. It's and you've used it literally. That's what you've heard, and you've used picks, but it's actually peaks. It's
peak.
a longer sound. Yeah. Um, right. Okay. So let's say
6.
0. Grammar. Well, yes. Okay. So grammar again. Your plurals, like for degrees. Your subject verb agreement for like are rather than is, and that's in a few places there. And prepositions in one or two places as well. So let's have a look. So subject verb agreement. Prepositions. Articles. That's probably about it, actually, isn't it? Okay, so let's be critical and say that's 5.5, but you're still on course there for, I mean, 7.5, 7, 6.5. It's probably going to be a 6.5, isn't it? 6.5. So what score do you need for writing? Is it you don't really need a specific score for writing, or do you need to get 6.5 or something, or is it just that you're looking for an overall score of 6.5 with 7 for speaking?
Actually, to be honest, my reading score is very low. So I think I'm good at listening part and writing part rather than reading part.
Mm.
So as much get high score as
Possible. You just want to maximize your
yeah,
score.
yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
I hope the writing score I want to get 7.
Okay. All right. That's quite an ask. That's quite difficult to get 7.
Oh, really?
I think I would say that you could certainly well, I mean, because okay, so that's 6.5, but again, it took you 40 minutes to do a task 2 essay, so you've got to halve the time that you're spending on a task 1 essay rather. So you know you've got to keep working at that until you can do that in less than 20 minutes. But in terms of what you've written, I think it's better than it was already after just 1 essay. It's better the second time, so it'll continue to improve with each practice. And in the end, you know, you now know how to set out your essay. You're using the right language in there. So in terms of answering the question and linking, you're already getting good scores. Vocabulary is not too bad. But grammar is something you've got to work on. If you want your score to get up to 7, then grammar, as well as finishing it in 20 minutes, you've got to improve your grammar. Okay, that is something you've got to focus on. But I mean, overall, it's a pretty good essay. It's a pretty good essay.
Oh, really? I tried to be simple, and
Yeah,
yeah, at the beginning I was confused, much seriously and overthinking about the table,
yeah.
the bar graph. But yeah, but this is I never thought seen before.
Which one?
That there is no ear in this line graph.
There's no year because it doesn't give a time. You mean?
Yeah.
Oh, because it's just averaged over many years. That's all. So it's there's not. Yeah, that's okay.
And can I describe a winter season or and something like that?
You could well you could compare well I think you've done a reasonable job of it actually. I think by keeping it simple, you've written 160 words. Well, let's see, have you one thing that you haven't done there, you've described London and New York, and
Mhm.
you've described Sydney separately.
Mhm.
Maybe you could compare the difference between the two of them. Did you actually say did you actually compare the higher temperature in Sydney? Which one has? Oh, New York has the highest temperature overall, doesn't it?
Mhm.
So that might have been one thing that you did do is compare the you could have just said that overall New York has the highest temperature and the lowest temperature.
Ah.
Whereas, and then so you could have described, you could have gone through them city by city and talked about, how they compare in that sense. That's just one more
Mm.
bit of information in there. So,
Mhm.
but no, it's not a bad essay. As I say, keep it simple. You've met the requirements. You don't if you can write 100. I mean, sometimes it's difficult to write 160 words, uh, particularly when they ask you to compare maps. When they give you a map. And sometimes they give you. There was one particular question that came up in one of the Cambridge books, and it was two like desert islands or small islands, like one from 10 years ago, one from the present, and there's been a very small development on the island. Like there's a new pier, a new set of huts on there, but there was almost nothing else to describe on this thing.
Mhm.
There was almost no information to describe the difference. So it was actually going to be very difficult to write 160 words when there was almost no changes between the two maps. So that would be very difficult. But I think here, if you search for it, you can find a little bit more information. But no, I think you've done okay. I think it's all right.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. So just before we go on to the next one, before we go on to task 2, you mentioned reading. So what is your problem when you do the reading? What do you find is the biggest problem with reading?
Mm, everything. I know learn how to solve the question step by step, but the most biggest problem is for me the vocabulary, and I think skimming.
Right. Okay. So
I
so
can't.
so I presume that in the academies that you've been to, should be that one of the first things they tell you about reading is not to read the whole article, word for word. You ne you
Mm,
ne do you do, is that what do you first do? Do you read the whole article and then look at the questions?
uh, at the beginning, a year ago I did it, but I learned from IELTS Academy. They told me like reading the question first, and then
And then look for the answers in the text.
yes,
Mm.
and then the keyword
Yeah.
highlight,
Yeah.
is it important? And I try when I reading article, but the problem is yeah, vocabulary, and I I need a lot of time.
Yeah. So okay, so one of the things you need to do is to analyze where it is that your time goes. So for example, there are certain questions
Mm-hmm.
that can take a lot of your time away from you, and so one of the problems that people have is that, and it's a big problem, is that they don't finish the test
Mm,
because they spend too long in certain parts of the test and then they can't catch up, they can't get to the end of the test. And so like the questions from like sort of 35 to 40, they never even get to questions 35 to 40 because they spent too much time somewhere in the middle of the test on a particular type of question. Is that something that happens to you?
right.
Okay, so what kind of question is it that you get stuck on?
Matching and
So
headings.
yeah, okay. So let me give you that's the same for everybody. Okay, so you're not alone. This is what happens to everybody. I knew you were going to say that. That's why I was asking you the question. Okay, so what you do is when you get to matching headings, and the other one that's also very difficult is the writer's opinion. So sometimes you have to
Yeah,
summarize the
yes,
writer's
or
opinion. Yeah, writer's opinion and matching headlines, or yeah, head paragraph headlines or something like that. And what people do is they spend so long looking at those particular questions that they don't finish the rest of the test, or then they start to panic because they know, and then they start making mistakes. And so probably everything that happens after that set of questions is probably going to be wrong, and so their score comes down very low. Okay, so this is what you do is when you're doing your IELTS reading test, you get even if it's the first question of the test, or usually it's usually matching headlines is the first question for one of the three passages.
mm,
So it might be passage number two. The first set of questions are matching headlines or something like that. It's in the
right.
middle of the test. It's in the middle of the test. You get stuck on it for a long time, and then you don't finish the test. Okay, so next time you're doing a test, forget the matching headline. Do the rest of the test first. It's exactly what you're saying with writing. Okay? Do all of the rest of the test. Get all of those marks in the bank first. And then with the time that you've got left, go back and you can spend as long as you want on matching headlines then because you've taken all the pressure off yourself and you can just focus on matching headlines.
Mm,
Okay,
okay.
believe me, it works because what happens is you get more and more anxious as you know you're spending too long doing it, and the more
Mm,
you know, you start to panic, and then everything you start looking at one headline, think, well, that could be any of the paragraphs, and you think, okay, well, I'll go on to the next one. That could be any of the paragraphs as well, and then you start to panic, and then you think you do something. Maybe in the end you just say, oh, it doesn't matter. I'll put them all in there. But by that time you've probably wasted between 5 and 10 minutes on that one sort of set of questions. And so then you don't finish the test. It happens to everybody. Okay, so just leave it, just pass over it, do all the other questions first, and then come back to it and do that at the end of the test. Because
mm.
I've done this with Filipino nurses, and I've taught them this technique, and in the end they were finishing the whole test in about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Okay, so if they just focused on trying to do the matching headlines, they would run out of time. But when they learn to just skip it, do all the rest of it, and then come back to it, and so the other thing is that what the other mistake that people make is that they spend so long looking at it, and it's and really the matching headlines one probably only gets you 6 or 7 marks or something. In terms of your score, it's not a huge amount, but you waste so much time on 6 or 7 marks that you could have picked up somewhere else in the test. And because you don't finish the other questions, of course, every set of questions that you don't miss is another 5 marks that you're not going to get. So you probably lose at least 10 marks. And because you're so stressed by doing those 6 or 7 marks, you probably get most of those wrong anyway. It happens to everybody. Believe me, it happens to everybody. So get all of the other score, get all of those other scores, and then come back and do it. And then there's no pressure on you. And really, the way to do matching headlines is not to analyze it and analyze it and analyze it and think, oh, well, it might be this and it might be this keyword. It's to go with your gut instinct. Okay, which do I think is immediately? Okay, paragraph A, do it. Pass on. Don't analyze, because the more you analyze it, the more possibilities you can see that it might be another paragraph. And so you just end up confusing yourself. So if you just go with your first impression, your gut instinct, it's usually correct. But the more you and I the same things happened with me. Believe me, I've tried the tests, and because and actually the better your English is, the more possibilities you can see that headline might fit somewhere else. And so I've got stuck on it. I know exactly what happens because I've tried it myself, and I've sat there and I thought, well, it could be one of 3 paragraphs. It could be that one, or that one. And then the more I try to find it, the more I think, well, yeah, I still think it could be, and these are more reasons why it could be all of those 3 paragraphs. And I know you waste a lot of time doing it. So go with your gut instinct, don't waste time on it, and do it at the end. And you'll find that your score jumps up by at least 10 marks. Honestly, you do it that way, and your score will jump.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Let's have a look at your task 2. Right. Okay. So, okay. Some people think that developed medical care makes people's retire time expanded. Okay. What does the question actually say? One of the concepts of improved medical care is that people are living longer and life expectancy is increasing. Okay. So, makes people's retire. Okay. Retirement time. Okay, so rather than makes people's retirement expand, you could say expands people's retirement time. Okay, so they should earn money than before. Okay, so they should earn more money. Not rather, you don't need rather in there, than before.
Than before.
However, there is a more persuasive argument that these changes have had a positive effect. Because people enjoy good quality of life. Okay, enjoy a longer good quality of life these days. Right. On the one hand, improved medical system has several. Okay. On the one hand, and improved has several disadvantages. People have to work for a long time. Articles. Okay, for a long time, that people's expected life period are going to be higher. Okay, so that people's expected life period is, because we're talking about the life period, is. Is going to be in other words, to keep their stable life, they have to work. Okay, to keep their stable life, to keep their life stable, other way around. To keep their life stable, they have to work after they retire. Are you saying that they have to? Are you saying that they have to work after they retire, or that they have to work longer before they retire?
Some people have to retire because the company's rule, or even they retire, they have to work a lot. They have to work continue. So they have to work longer than before.
Okay, so after they retire, yeah. Or should we say after? Well, let's say then after the normal retirement age, isn't it? So it's after the normal retirement age. For example, many elderly have part-time jobs such as cashier. Okay, so many
The elderly
jobs. Yeah,
jobs.
but many elderly have part-time jobs such as as a cashier or as cashiers, as a cashier or cashiers.
Cashiers.
As a well, now I've put a in it, you don't need cashiers. If you don't have the a, it has to have an s on the end. Okay. In the supermarket and security in a building. Okay. Also, they have to pay their medical insurance, so financial statements are very essential. Therefore, some people struggle with living day by day. Okay, you like using the word rather, don't you? Compared to before.
You're right.
Compared to before. Okay. Nevertheless, the development of medical care has a lot of benefits to compare disadvantages. People can live, okay, not more longer, just longer. People can live longer through improved medical systems, such as pre-screens and insurances. For instance, the government encourages regular pre-screening for citizens' health so they can enjoy a good quality of life without worries. These system is possible.
The medical developed in medical system.
Okay, these system is possible that finding disease early in the past, like okay, these systems. Okay, these system. Let's say these systems are better at finding disease. Earlier in the past. Earlier. Okay, finding disease earlier. Okay, again, than. Now you can use than in the past. Okay, so yeah, all right. So let me just let me. You could put it the way you've got it here, like cancer. But the problem is, this refers to the disease. Yes, but you've separated it out at the end. You've put more words in between, so it becomes a little bit stranded in the text. So if where you've got finding disease, like cancer,
Behind.
yeah,
Oh.
earlier than in the past. So it keeps the reference together. It becomes more, it flows better. It's more logical.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
Thus people can, okay, thus people can available, thus people are available to start a second life. For the rest of their life.
they're like.
Okay, that seems a little bit clumsy. To start a second life for the rest of their life. Okay, to start a second life. I think you don't need to say anything more than that. I think that's enough. Finish the sentence there. These chance. You do like to use these as well, don't you? These crops up all over the place. These and rather. Okay. These chances not only the okay, these chances not only the elderly but also the youngest life. These okay. While I was working in hospital, many newborns were treated by hospitals and with the latest medical devices, so they lived without complications and were healthier. Okay, but what is it you're saying here? These chances not only the elderly, these okay, these improvements. Benefit not only the elderly, but also the youngest life. But also, yeah, I think keep it simple. Again, keep the language simple, but also the younger generation. Okay. Less words is better. It's always simpler with less words. Otherwise, it starts to become complicated. Okay. In conclusion, although there are some disadvantages of financial issues in medical care, I think it is evident that the advantage of developed medical care's advances far outweigh the drawbacks. Okay. All right. I mean, you've answered it from a certain perspective, which is a financial perspective. Let me just check the question again. So one of the concepts of improvement is that people are living longer and life expectancy is increasing. Do you think the advantages of okay. So you've really focused on the advantage. So you're saying that the disadvantage that they've got to carry on working in order to support themselves. The advantage. Where's the advantage? That
Yes,
just that they live longer.
and good quality.
Ah, right. That they can enjoy a good
Life.
quality of life without worries. Okay. Okay. All right. I mean, you've taken a perspective. I'm not. I think that's okay. You've answered the question from that point of view. I think though, if I look at the question, what I'm seeing in the question is, do you think the advantages of this development outweigh the disadvantages? So I think they want you to list more advantages and some disadvantages. I think they want you to say, like, because you said the advantage is that you live with a better quality of life. That's one advantage. It's not advantages. It's one advantage. The disadvantage is that they've got to work longer and earn more money. That's only one disadvantage. I think you could have written this essay with maybe a list of 2 or 3 advantages or 2 or 3 disadvantages, and then on the balance of those 3 of each said which is better. Okay, because really that's what they're asking for. You've sort of answered the question, but you've done it in a limited way because you've only given one advantage and one disadvantage.
Mm.
Okay, so I think so I mean from the disadvantages point of view, you're saying that they have to work longer to support themselves. Actually, I think the problem, if you look around the world, the disadvantage is it's not so much that, I mean, people are having to work longer.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem, if you look at like a country like Japan, where they have the oldest population in the world, um, what's happening is that younger people are having to work harder and harder to pay the taxes to support the older people. And people are living so long in Japan that they can't carry on working because a lot of people in Japan live to over 100. So there's no way they're going to carry on working well, I don't know what kind of work they could do at over 100. I can't think of anything useful that they're going to do. They're not going to be opening doors for you because they wouldn't have the energy for it. But yeah, really, that's the problem. Is there's so many people living to an extreme old age in Japan, that younger people's taxes are having to go on paying these older people. So yes, they do have to work longer. They have to work from compared to in the past where they had to work into their 60s, 65. Now they're having to work in probably 75 or 78. Think about it. Could you work as a nurse when you're 78? And a lot of people's jobs are the same. Not just because your job is a hard job physically, because nursing is physically a hard job,
Mm-hmm.
but for older people, as new technology comes in, it's very difficult for them to adapt to new technology. So something that they might be very expert at doing a particular job, a very technical job like science or engineering or design or something like that. But with all of the new technology that comes in, they're still doing things with a pencil and a ruler, and all of the kids are doing it with a computer and finishing the job like that. And with artificial intelligence, there is no work for them anymore. They can't work any longer. So actually having a longer and longer life, you end up with more and more time where you've got a long life, but is it a good quality of life? Is it actually a good quality of life? I think that's where you can answer the question and really dig into it and have an interesting discussion in the essay. We all want to live as long as possible, but really, if I look, I mean, I hate to admit it, but I'm getting close to that sort of age now. I'm not there yet, but it's not that. It's a lot closer than it used to be. It used to be so far in the distance, I didn't even have to think about it. But now it's not so far away. Do I really want to live to be sort of like well past 70? Do I really want to live into my 80s? Do I really want to live into my 90s where I just sit there and stare into the distance? Is that a good quality of life? Is that what I really want to do? Or just watch television all day long, or whatever it is that people do in retirement homes? I think there is a big question about whether medical technology allowing people to live that long is actually doing them any good. Is it really a good quality of life?
Right.
Okay, so but yeah, I mean you've answered it, but I think there's more. There are more discussions you could have had in terms of answering the question. Okay, we're going well over time here, but let me just quickly give you a score there. So how many words did you have on that one? That was 269. Okay, I haven't taken too many words out of that, so it's probably still over 250. So let's just say 250 plus. Okay, so you've answered the question. You've answered perhaps not in enough detail, but I think you have answered the question. Let's say that's okay. Well, I get okay 6.5 because I think you could have answered it. I think you could have looked at more examples. Linking, yes, I think the linking is good on that. So let's say 7.5. Vocabulary, yeah, okay. I think not too bad. That's not too bad, your vocabulary. I think let's say 6.5 again. Grammar. Yeah, I mean, it's the same things. Articles, obviously. So if you look through there, I've had to write a lot of the articles in. So you must continue practicing your articles. 60%, you said you got 60% last night on your articles. Don't stop there because you got 60%. You need to be pushing that up towards 80 or 90%. Once you get to 80 or 90% and it starts showing up in your essays that there's an improvement, then I'll be happy.
Okay.
When I have to stop writing your articles in for you, then I'll be very happy. Um,
Okay.
okay. Phrases like compared to rather than saying rather than all the time. So you need to learn about that. I think some of your plurals, when to use a plural. Um, so there's still some grammar issues there, but it's not bad. I mean, the word overall the balance of the essay is not bad. It's just some items. You've got to work on some items. It's not like it's terrible and the word order's terrible all the way through. There was only one example where I changed the word order, so it's not bad. I'd say again that's probably about 6.5. So that's basically that's a 6.5 essay, which is not bad. And how long did it take you? How long did that take you? 50 minutes. So not bad. Not bad. You're getting there. Improving already. Good. So if you found this IELTS class useful, informative, or entertaining, please give it a like, subscribe, and share with other people who you think might benefit from these live IELTS class videos using actual examination topics. Most of the students participating in these classes are now living their dream in English-speaking countries around the world. If you want classes with me, you can contact me on X, LinkedIn, MS Teams, or Viber. Details are given in the description below or on the About page for this channel. Thank you.